Hands-off kindness. Catherine O'Hara. A mother, a fighter, a friend. Hello, my name is Welcome to the Bear of Bad News. I'm your host, Lore Bear, and this is the Bear of Bad News' Oddity of Altruism. This is our monthly segment covering one person that has spent a large amount of time or energy trying to create a better world and create good news. Our second feature is on the late Catherine O'Hara, with a combination of segments covering her roles as a patron saint of fictional mothers, as well as articles about her that cover her various life's work. The stories in this episode are sourced from various news outlets and publications. The Bear of Bad News does not conduct independent fact-checking or verification of these stories. Listeners are encouraged to review original sources for accuracy and complete context. We are not responsible for the accuracy or content of third-party reporting. Forgetful but fierce. Born Catherine Ann O'Hara, she was a young orphan from a small village in Bolingbroke, Nova Scotia. Wait, I think I have the wrong Anne. Canadian-American actress, comedian, and mother Catherine Ann O'Hara was renowned for her deft skill, charming vibrancy, and affable nature. Looks like this is the one. Okay. She was beloved by many as her characters reached across time to bring her warmth and spirit to us all throughout the year. Born into a large Irish Catholic family, Catherine O'Hara grew up in Toronto and found her start when she landed the role of Gilda Radner's understudy. This allowed her to break through with their show SCTV, a family she chose over the glitz and glam of New York's Saturday Night Live. Even though she worked extensively in the U.S. film and television industry, Catherine retained her Canadian citizenship throughout her life and was awarded the Order of Canada in 2018. Her beginnings in Toronto and Canadian heritage were never more apparent than in her first few roles. The second city and SCTV's success gave her chances to break into the Hollywood scene and led directly to her picking up roles in Beetlejuice and Home Alone. But even in a show about a dead guy invading the lives of some unsuspecting family, her enigmatic ways gave the uncaring stepmother an unusually likable quality, something obviously seen by Gilda when she encouraged her to audition for SCTV. To start, a breakdown of her life from the Canadian Encyclopedia.ca entitled Catherine O'Hara, originally published on August 19th, 2010, last updated January 30th, 2026. Catherine Ann O'Hara, actor, writer, singer, born 4th March 1954 in Toronto, Ontario, died 30th January 2026 in Los Angeles, California. Catherine O'Hara was one of Canada's most acclaimed comedic actors. She is perhaps best known for her work in television on SCTV 1976 to 79, 1981 to 83, and Schitt's Creek 2015 to 2020, as well as for her roles in Beetlejuice 1988, Home Alone 1990, and Home Alone 2 Lost in New York 1992, and her many collaborations with director Christopher Guest. The winner of Emmy, Golden Globe, Gemini, Genie, and Canadian Screen Awards, she was an officer of the Order of Canada and a member of Canada's Walk of Fame. She received the Governor-General's Performing Arts Award for Lifetime Artistic Achievement in 2021. Early years and career. The second youngest of 7 children, Catherine O'Hara grew up in the Toronto suburb of Etobicoke. She attended high school at Burnham Thorpe Collegiate, where her classmates included fellow future comedian Robin Duke. After graduating, O'Hara waitressed at the Second City Theatre in Toronto for a year and eventually became the understudy for Gilda Radner. She became a regular cast member when Radner departed the company in 1974. O'Hara's acting career continued in 1975 with guest spots on the CBC's Coming Up Rosie, opposite Dan Aykroyd and John Candy, and The Wayne and Schuster Show. SCTV. Catherine O'Hara became part of the first cast of SCTV in 1976. She quickly established herself as the resident funny woman of SCTV with her writing and performing. Her characters on the show remain some of the most beloved: boozy, washed-up lounge singer Lola Heatherton, based on sex kitten Lola Falana, clueless comedian Dusty Town, and numerous celebrity impersonations, including Jane Fonda, Elizabeth Taylor, and a deadpan Katharine Hepburn, which is personally my favorite. O'Hara dazzled audiences and critics with her ability to transform herself into a range of personas. She established herself as a master of physical comedy, but also showed an ability to inject dramatic depth into the characters she parodied. O'Hara left SCTV in 1980 for a spot on the newly retooled Saturday Night Live. However, she left that show after a week without appearing in any episodes. She rejoined SCTV for the 1981-82 season. Film career. After continuing her work on SCTV, Catherine O'Hara appeared in feature films such as Rock and Roll, 1983, After Hours, 1985, and Heartburn, 1986, with Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep, the subject of perhaps her finest impersonation on SCTV. She also gave a memorable performance as Delia Dietz, the stepmother in Tim Burton's Beetlejuice in 1988. O'Hara enjoyed one of her biggest successes playing the mother to Macaulay Culkin's Kevin McAllister in Christopher Columbus's box office smash Home Alone. Home Alone grossed nearly $500 million at the box office worldwide, became a holiday viewing staple, and inspired the sequel Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, in which O'Hara reprised her role. O'Hara's work as a member of actor-director Christopher Guest's ensemble mockumentaries, including Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, A Mighty Wind, and For Your Consideration, best demonstrates her range as a comedian and actress. Guest's films favor improvisation and frequently pair O'Hara with her SCTV and Schitt's Creek co-star Eugene Levy. O'Hara and Levy play a pair of terror-loving suburbanites in Best in Show and former folk singers lovers Mitch and Mickey in A Mighty Wind. The latter film brought O'Hara and Levy to the Academy Awards in 2004 to perform the nominated song A Kiss at the End of the Rainbow. O'Hara gave one of her best film performances in Guest's award-season satire For Your Consideration. She played aptly named actress Marilyn Hack, who dreams of an Oscar nomination when industry buzz touts her as a contender. O'Hara modeled Hack's raised eyebrows off her mother and her sharp voice off of CBC telecasters. CBC! Although critics generally agreed that For Your Consideration lacked the punch of previous Guest films, they almost unanimously deemed O'Hara's performance award-worthy. The Toronto Star's Jeff Pavere wrote, O'Hara's Hack, who will eventually subject herself to a form of cosmetic alteration that only Cher might envy, is a marvel of barely contained desperation. Television career. In addition to her work on SCTV, Catherine O'Hara has many notable television credits in both comedy and drama. While her work favors Hollywood, her career in television includes a mix of American and Canadian programs. In 1995, O'Hara received the Earl Grey Award for Lifetime Achievement in Canadian Television at the Gemini Awards. Schitt's Creek. In 2015, Catherine O'Hara reunited with Eugene Levy for the CBC sitcom Schitt's Creek, in which she plays washed-up soap opera star Moira Rose. The show follows a wealthy couple played by O'Hara and Levy as they go bankrupt and move to the small town of Schitt's Creek, which they purchased years earlier as a joke. Schitt's Creek proved to be one of CBC's best-received comedies in years. It averaged over 1 million viewers in its first season and became CBC's most-watched comedy online. O'Hara won 5 consecutive Canadian Screen Awards for her performance in Schitt's Creek. In 2016, O'Hara and Levy were honored with the Academy a Legacy Award at the Canadian Screen Awards. In 2020, O'Hara won another Emmy for her performance in the beloved Canadian sitcom. Singing career. Catherine O'Hara was also a singer and songwriter. She sang on the Grammy-nominated A Mighty Wind album, wrote songs for her appearance on fellow SCTV star John Candy's Last Polka TV special in 1985, and was part of the Northern Lights group to sing Tears Are Not Enough. She also sang for the soundtracks of Nightmare Before Christmas and Best in Show. Nightmare Before Christmas? Wow. Personal life. Catherine O'Hara met her husband, production designer Beau Welch, on the set of Beetlejuice. The couple married in 1992 and have 2 sons, Matthew and Luke. The singer-songwriter Mary Margaret O'Hara is her younger sister. 3 sentences, 1 paragraph. To have such a concise, beautiful personal life in your bio. Well, no notes. Awards and honors. Huge list. Not going to read them all. There's a shit ton. And a little background in the relationship between Gilda Radner and Catherine O'Hara. From an article entitled "We Can Thank Gilda Radner for Catherine O'Hara's Amazing Comedy Career" from Kveler.com, a Jewish culture website, published January 24th, 2019. Since the 70s, comedian Catherine O'Hara has gifted us with countless hours of laughter. The Canadian-American actress is currently known for starring in Schitt's Creek as Moira Rose, the hyperbolic Jewish mother of a formerly filthy, rich family. Between her roles in Home Alone, Best in Show, and outstanding writing for SCTV Network 90, O'Hara has built herself quite the legacy. Who does she have to thank? None other than the beloved late Jewish comedian Gilda Radner. In an interview with The New Yorker, timed with the season 5 premiere of Schitt's Creek, O'Hara shares that Radner helped her get her foot in the comedy door. My brother worked in a small theater called Global Village in Toronto and met a girl named Gilda Radner, God bless her, O'Hara says. They worked together and they dated, and Gilda would come home to our house for dinner. Can you imagine anything better than having casual dinners with Gilda Radner? At some point during the 2 years that Radner and O'Hara's brother dated, the two women auditioned for the Toronto outpost of Second City, the Chicago-based improvisational comedy group. It was all Gilda as far as opening my world to Second City, O'Hara says. Radner landed a spot on the team, but O'Hara wasn't as fortunate. She was offered a job as a waitress in the theater's restaurant. But that too had a silver lining. It was there that she met another up-and-coming Jewish comedian, Eugene Levy, who was one of the troupe's members. They tried going together, but failed epically after 1 or 2 dates. I'm so glad it worked out that way, O'Hara said. We probably wouldn't be working together if we'd gone on longer in dating. We're eternally grateful for this, as their 40-year friendship has brought us many funny, fruitful collaborations. O'Hara finally got her big break when Radner left Second City to work for the National Lampoon Radio Hour, and having landed a slot as Radner's understudy, O'Hara nervously swooped in and officially started her comedic career. If Radner hadn't shown O'Hara the ropes, would her legacy be as great? Honestly, probably. She's amazing. But perhaps without Radner, she never would have met Levy, and who knows what ripple effects would have unfolded. Would Schitt's Creek exist? Oh God. Would we have forever been deprived of their on-screen coupledom in Best in Show and A Mighty Wind? Well, thanks to one of the funniest Jewish women of all time, we'll never have to find out. Home Alone, but never without a family. Her success in Home Alone was not an accident like the inciting incident of Kevin being left behind. If any character was being played by Catherine, that character would be flawed, often forgetful, but fiercely loyal and full of agency. I didn't know women could be any other way, really, growing up in the 90s watching television and movies with women like Meg Ryan, Catherine, and of course Cher. We all needed to snap out of it in the 90s at some point, and that moment was when Catherine's character realized one of her kids was left behind. I don't remember most of the siblings that well, or even want to remember the father, but there were 2 stars in Home Alone, and Catherine's motherly portrayal of a woman who will not let her child be left behind made her a household figure and name. She had suddenly set the standard for what a mother is, which isn't biological. It's the way you react when you realize your child is in trouble. This was mimicked in real life when she suddenly quit SNL a week into filming. SCTV hadn't been picked up when she took the job, and when she found out that it had been renewed, she walked into Lauren's office and said she had to quit. She had to go be with her comedy family, and they would have been lost without their mother. Catherine O'Hara recalls quitting Saturday Night Live after 1 week. Not cool to take a job and then leave it. From People.com, originally published on January 27th, 2024. For Catherine O'Hara, loyalty trumps the spot on Saturday Night Live. In the new issue of People, O'Hara recalls how she was cast on the 6th season of SNL in the early 1980s, but quit after a week. There's been BS stories about I was supposedly scared by somebody, says O'Hara, 69. Not so. Prior to SNL, she'd already been in the cast of the Canadian comedy sketch show SCTV, though it wasn't consistent work. Our producer would get a deal with the network, and we'd have a show for a season or two, and then that deal would go away. There'd be a break, then we'd get to do the show again, she explains. During one break, I got asked to be on Saturday Night Live, and of course I said yes. Who doesn't want to do that? Then she got word that SCTV was picked up again, so she departed SNL without ever filming an episode. Basically, I said, "Oh, sorry, I gotta go be with my comedy family." In retrospect, O'Hara said she was stupid for not waiting longer to see if SCTV got picked up. Yeah, not cool to take a job and leave it. You know what I mean, she says. In the end, O'Hara's best friend from high school, Robin Duke, took her SNL slot. It all worked out the way it was supposed to, says O'Hara. SCTV ran from 1976 to 1984 and was an offshoot of Toronto's famed Second City comedy troupe, where the late comedian Gilda Radner got her start. O'Hara co-stars on SCTV included John Candy, Martin Short, Rick Moranis, Joe Flaherty, Andrea Martin, and Eugene Levy. She and Levy would go on to collaborate several more times in Christopher Guest's movies, including Best in Show. They also co-starred together on the 2015 pop comedy series Schitt's Creek, playing Johnny and Moira Rose, a wealthy couple who lose everything and are forced to reside in the run-down motel of the small town they own, their only asset. Levy co-created the Emmy-winning series with his son, Daniel Levy, who played the Rose's high-maintenance son, David. I'll be forever grateful to Eugene and Daniel for giving me that opportunity to develop the role with them and to collaborate, says O'Hara. It was such a gift to work with people with whom you can collaborate, and they wrote such great scripts, and it was just so fun and so lovely, she adds. Though it originally aired on the network Pop, Netflix eventually streamed the show, which O'Hara credits with helping the show become a beloved hit. We really lucked out, she says. The only boundary left to push was death. Catherine pushed boundaries in ways that are still being looked at today as revolutionary, and as standards to use for some of the best moments in acting history. Her relationship with Gilda Radner certainly helped. Gilda couldn't help but push boundaries, and those that knew her became boundary pushers because she made it so core to the ethos of comedy. Catherine may have pushed them in the field of irreverent, human, observational comedy, but that didn't make her less of a comedic genius. She would not have stood so tall had people around her not both wanted to stand beside her and weren't afraid to stand in her shadow. It was warm there, and in the shadow of the Colossus O'Hara, not dark but dimmed, to let in a little of her brightness, her shadow an ever-present shield from the harsh realities of the world, a beacon of hope that if you stood in it long enough, everything would be okay. She truly was one of the few people who could make people stand beside her with fierce loyalty with just her existence, because everything she did was a testament to the journey that you took with her. That may have been her greatest strength, how easily you walked into the world she shared with you, and how hard it was to walk out. Once you became one of her children, you were never the same. You now had a new mother watching over you, and a constant reminder that you would be okay. She would make sure of it. She was the walking definition of iconic, and just humble enough for you to want everything for her. Catherine O'Hara, from SCTV to the Studio and The Last of Us. From celebstoner.com, originally published on May 8th, 2025. Original SCTV cast member Catherine O'Hara has been having a career renaissance over the last decade, starting with Schitt's Creek and her character Moira over 6 seasons and 80 episodes. These days you can catch her in the Studio as former Hollywood exec Patty and The Last of Us as pothead Shrink Gale. It's been a long, winding career for the 71-year-old comedic actress from Toronto. From 1976 to 1984, on the Canadian sketch comedy series SCTV, she played Lola Heatherton, a lounge singer with a wicked laugh and taste for booze, and also did impressions of Lucille Ball, Meryl Streep, Brooke Shields, and others. About her Heatherton character, O'Hara commented in 2020, "My cheesy Atlantic City performer character, Lola Heatherton, was very loosely based on 2 sexy singers I had seen on talk shows, Lola Falana and Joey Heatherton. I worked really hard on coming up with a name, didn't I? I stole my look from Joey Heatherton and my quivering lip from Lola Falana. My trademark line, I want to bear your children, I stole from my brother Marcus. He used it successfully to pick up women. Otherwise, I just imagined that these women lived lonely lives in a tough casino world. When appearing with the guys on Joe Flaherty's Sammy Maudlin show, I just wanted to laugh louder than anyone to prove Lola was happy. O'Hara and Levy went on to appear in several Christopher Guest mockumentaries. In 2015, they reunited for Schitt's Creek, a Canadian comedy created by Levy and his son Dan. O'Hara and the elder Levy play a husband and wife who live in a motel with their 2 kids. Schitt's Creek won 9 Emmys and was nominated 19 times. O'Hara earned the Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series Award in 2019 and 2020. She also won a Golden Globe in 2021. On the heels of that success, O'Hara scored roles in 2 of the hottest 2025 series. In The Studio, Patty offers advice to her successor, Matt, Seth Rogen. Their egos clash, resulting in some hilarious scenes. O'Hara has a lesser role in The Last of Us as a therapist for the damaged. In episode 1 of season 2, Joel, played by Pedro Pascal, pays for a session with a bag of scraggly buds. Shakes and stems, Gail gripes, "What am I, in high school?" "It's winter, Gail," Joel replies. She reluctantly takes the baggie. Payment accepted. In episode 3, Joel's brother Tommy, Gabriel Luna, asks Gail how she copes in the apocalyptic landscape. "Well, I'm an alcoholic and I smoke as much weed as I can." About Rogen, who's a cannabis advocate and entrepreneur, O'Hara recently noted, "People ask me, is he stoned? Is he smoking all day? If he is, Seth Rogen accepts posthumous award for Catherine O'Hara. She really showed that you can be a genius and be kind." From goodgoodgood.co. Catherine O'Hara passed away on January 30th, 2026, at the age of 71, leaving behind a storied career in film and television that spanned decades and delighted audiences worldwide. From classic roles in Home Alone, Beetlejuice, and Best in Show to her acclaimed work in Schitt's Creek and The Studio, her quick wit and warmth made her one of comedy's most cherished figures. On March 1st, O'Hara posthumously won the Actor Award for Outstanding Performance by a Female Actor in a Comedy Series. Seth Rogen, the co-creator of The Studio and O'Hara's co-star on the show, took to the stage to accept the award as the crowd leapt to their feet for a standing ovation. "I was asked to assume the very sad honor of accepting this award on O'Hara's behalf," Rogen started. "I know she would have been honored to receive this award from her fellow performers, who I know she respected so much. She was such big fans of all of yours," he said as the camera panned to fellow nominees Kathryn Hahn, Kristen Wiig, Jenna Ortega, and Jean Smart, all of whom were teary-eyed. And I bet she was a fan of all of them. I'm sure, too. She probably loved Jenna Ortega. Anyways, her and Jean Smart talking about Jenna Ortega. I, obviously, have been reflecting on the time I was fortunate enough to spend with her and work with her, and something that I have been marveling at over the last few weeks was her ability to be generous and kind and gracious, while never ever minimizing her own talents and her own ability to contribute to the work that we are doing. She knew she could destroy, and she wanted to destroy every day on set. Rogen then referenced the countless times O'Hara had sent him and the studio co-creator Evan Goldberg new ideas for the show. And literally 100% of the time, it made not just her character better, but it made the scene better and the entire show better as a whole, Rogen said. And she really showed that you can be a genius and be kind, and one of those things does not have to come at the expense of the other in any way, shape, or form. Beyond her on-screen success, O'Hara was deeply committed to giving back. She was a long-standing supporter of the Terry Fox Foundation, helping raise awareness and funds for cancer research tied to the iconic Canadian athlete who ran 3,338 miles across Canada in 1980 with a prosthetic leg to spread cancer awareness. Her charitable spirit also led her to donate $250,000 she won on a celebrity episode of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire to Upward Bound House, a nonprofit assisting families facing homelessness in Los Angeles. In November 2024, O'Hara partnered with the University Health Network of Canada to raise funds for the hospital's advanced Parkinson's research. University Health Network is Canada's #1 hospital, she said in a Facebook video. They are world-class thanks to their life-changing innovations like implanting devices that stimulate the brain and reduce symptoms of Parkinson's. You can still donate to the cause in her name at the university's website. Hands off, heart open. She was the definition of unpretentious, and somehow so down to earth and confident at the same time you couldn't help but love her. She was the definition of unpretentious, and somehow so down to earth and confident at the same time you couldn't help but love her. She didn't expect anything of you, but she always believed in you. It's hard to describe what Canadiana means outside Canada, but shows like Corner Gas, SCTV, Red Green, Orphan Black, Little Mosque, and the ever iconic Schitt's Creek make our ethos as a society so holy that they are not just Canadian, they are Canada. I don't know if the first name that would come to every Canadian for who you would want in an emergency would be Catherine O'Hara, but every Canadian would breathe a sigh of relief if you were stuck in the woods and she was the one set out to save you. Her fierce and wild energy never dimmed, but her heart was her center, and you felt its touch deeply even if it just grazed you. Catherine, mother of comedy, was not only one of the funniest women to ever grace the screen, silver or otherwise, but she was also immensely kind. She was the kind of person that always led with kindness, but also always ended with it. Some of my fondest memories of my childhood came from her movies and her comedy, but the biggest compliment I can give her is that to this day, I still think about her like another mother, who taught me things like no matter what you have to do, you fight to keep your family safe. That laughter really is the best medicine, and that although you can never be perfect, you can be pretty damn close with a large amount of kindness and a pinch of humility. Julia Child once said, "How lovely life can be if one takes time to be friendly." Catherine O'Hara wasn't just Canadian. She was the mother of comedy and somewhat of Canada itself. We hoped you enjoyed learning about Catherine O'Hara, her life's work, and her legacy. This has been Oddity of Altruism. Until next time, I'm your host, Lore Bear, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, so I won't.